Exit Robert Culp. Re-enter Jack Cassidy. Yes, the OG Columbo baddie is back, and this time he's even rocking an evil mustache. In Publish or Perish, Cassidy plays publisher Riley Greenleaf, who is none too pleased to learn that his best-selling author, Pulp Fiction writer Alan Mallory, is planning to defect to a rival publisher. Mallory's played by real-life Pulp Fiction writer Mickey Spillane, best known for his signature character Mike Hammer, and not for his acting skills.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
Don't worry though, cause the vengeful Greenleaf decides to kill Mallory and collect a huge life insurance payout while he's at it. His scheme is maybe the most convoluted in Columbo history, but that's what makes it great. He hires a barmy war veteran and amateur bomb maker named Eddie Kane to kill Mallory on his behalf, in return for Greenleaf agreeing to publish Kane's book.
How to blow up anything in 10 easy lessons.
The explosive opening scene of Eddie testing out his bombs in a scrapyard while the titles play lets you know right away that you're in for a good time.
Bit depressing for the rats, but
Eddie's played by character actor John Davis Chandler, and I don't think they could have found anyone better for the part. I mean, just look at him.
That's great.
He reminds me of Dwight Fry from the Universal Monster movies, and Dwight Fry is fucking awesome. Alright, so Riley's big idea is to, get this, frame himself for Alan Mallory's murder.
wait a minute.
Try to follow along here. Greenleaf gives his own gun to Eddie, complete with Greenleaf's fingerprints, and a key to Mallory's office. The murder sequence is notable for the innovative use of a split-screen technique to show multiple viewpoints at once. I wonder if Ang Lee was thinking of this episode when he made that one really boring Hulk movie. While Kane disposes of Mallory, Greenleaf sets up an airtight alibi for himself by going on a drunken rampage, and oh man, is this scene good.
What do you take me for, some kind of a fool? This tastes like butt.
Because this is Jack Cassidy fucking unleashed.
Yeah. Buy yourself a personality.
He rear-ends this couple, and I have to say, I think the wife might be my favorite Columbo extra ever.
Look what you've done to our car. Tell him, Ralph.
Riley isn't a big fan though.
Don't take that from him, Ralph.
And you, madam, shut up.
He finally gets himself arrested and spends the rest of the night in the drunk tank.
What are you doing here, parked in the park?
Because there's a sign out there that said no parking in the street.
Meanwhile, Eddie plants the gun and the office key at the crime scene just as instructed. Awfully convenient though that the murder weapon was left just laying around, thinks Columbo.
You mean it was just laying there right out in the open?
That's right.
The next morning, Greenleaf is informed of Alan's death.
Oh, God, no. But who? Why?
Laying it on a bit thick there, Riley.
Dear God, poor Alan.
Just as he had planned, Greenleaf is immediately the prime suspect.
I just can't believe it.
He has no recollection of his whereabouts the previous night on account of being blackout drunk. He had a noted beef with the victim and had even threatened him in public.
He'll never write for you. Or anyone else, and I shall see to it. Good night, you charming people.
And he had access to an office key, not to mention a gun. Man, for a guy called Greenleaf, he sure loves orange. When the gun is identified as being Riley's, Columbo's just about to slap the cuffs on him when a last-minute phone call saves his ass. Turns out that couple from last night, while filing an insurance claim, have given Greenleaf a solid alibi for the time of the murder. Combine this with evidence that someone had forced their way into Greenleaf's car and stolen the gun and the office key, Columbo has to let Greenleaf off the hook, and is now looking for someone who it appears was actively trying to frame Greenleaf, just as Greenleaf had planned.
Of course.
We also get an appearance by Greenleaf's snooty lawyer in this scene. I don't really have anything to say about him, I just wanted to point out that the actor's name is Alan Fudge. Alan Fudge. Quite a lot going on in this episode, and we're only 30 minutes in, and this isn't even a longer episode. It's amazing the sheer amount of plot they managed to cram into just 73 minutes.
Takes a certain amount of skill.
Publish or Perish was the first script from Peter S. Fisher, who'd go on to write a total of 9 episodes and later co-create Murder, She Wrote with William Lincoln Richard Levinson. He's widely considered one of the show's most dedicated writers, responsible for several of its best outings, and this is a cracking debut.
What are they doing in there?
Well, we're shooting a cover for a new paperback. It's on anthropology.
The planted key to Mallory's office door ends up turning out to be quite the thorn in Greenleaf's side. Turns out it doesn't even fit the lock, as Mallory had recently had the locks changed but not told Greenleaf about it.
What?
Good thing for Eddie Kane that the door actually just happened to be open, otherwise the whole operation would have been botched, but it takes Columbo a little while to figure out exactly how Kane got into the office without a working key. Greenleaf hopes to tie that loose end up as he puts the final phase of his plan into action. At Eddie's house, he knocks the wannabe Timothy McVeigh out with a glass of spiked champagne, then rigs the whole place to explode,
Bombs away?
making it look like Eddie accidentally blew himself up with one of his own bombs.
Sounds gruesome.
It was.
Amid the carnage, Columbo finds even more planted evidence, courtesy of Riley, in the shape of yet another key and a synopsis for Alan Mallory's next novel, albeit credited to Eddie Kane. Greenleaf claims that 9 months prior, Eddie had sent him an idea he'd had for a novel about the Vietnam War, 60 Miles to Saigon, which Greenleaf then handed over to Mallory to turn into a book. Greenleaf hypothesizes that Kane must have thought Mallory stole his idea and murdered him in revenge. Seems like an open and shut case, but there are still a number of things troubling Columbo. He goes to visit Riley's chief publishing opponent, Jeffrey Neal, whom Mallory was about to sign with, while he's having lunch with Mallory's literary agent, Eileen McRae, played by Mariette Hartley. We get a priceless scene of Columbo waltzing unwelcomed into this fancy pants restaurant and then simply ordering a bowl of chili, much to the waiter's horror.
Chili?
Yeah, with beans or without beans, either way, it doesn't make any difference.
Chili.
Made even funnier by the fact that in real life, the restaurant where they shot this scene, Chasen's, was famous for its chili. Sorta like a high-end Barney's Beanery. Columbo even freaks about the price.
$6, excuse me.
Which doesn't seem like a lot, but in today's money, that'd be about $33 for a bowl of chili and an iced tea.
$6.75.
I forgot to add the iced tea.
Anyway, amusements aside, the point of this scene is that the lieutenant learns that no one has actually read Mallory's 60 Miles to Saigon manuscript, although he did change the ending at Miss McRae's suggestion. Mallory planned to kill his hero at the end, but Universal Studios was interested in turning it into a movie starring Rock Hudson, and well...
Universal said for $100,000 you don't kill off Rock Hudson.
After finding the synopsis at Eddie Kane's pad, Columbo brings it to Miss McRae and asks her to read it, hoping that she'll find something about it that's off.
It's as though Alan dictated it himself.
This sets off alarm bells ringing in the lieutenant's head, and he summons Greenleaf to Mallory's office for the final solution. Oh god, I didn't mean it like that.
You know, I was on a case once. A candidate for United States Senate, he had a lot of security men around him because there'd been threats against his life. Now, in order to shake the security men, he changed his clothes with his campaign manager. Then he shoots the campaign manager, and he makes it look like an attempt on his life. Now, that's a heck of a story.
This is the second time in a row Columbo has referred to a previous case of his, and it's the same damn case. The only case, in fact, that the show makes not one, but two callbacks to. The writers must have been really proud of Candidate for Crime.
Lieutenant, very frankly, I don't give a damn about your senator or your story.
Anyway, remember when I said Riley planted another key on Eddie's body?
Yes, you mentioned it the other day.
This was a new key he just had cut to match the lock on the door, because as Columbo said,
There had to be another key to fit the new lock, and when you had that key, then you'd have the person who murdered Alan Mallory.
Right.
and since Eddie had the key, that wraps up this case, right? Wrong, cause, see, while the key does fit the lock, it's a different lock.
What?
Columbo had them changed again since the murder, and since only Greenleaf knew of the importance of the key, then surely only he could have had a new one cut and planted it on Kane's body, right? Aha! Well, not quite. This should have been the gotcha clue. I mean, it's pretty damning evidence against Greenleaf, but when Columbo confronts him with it, they both just kinda shrug and go, weird, innit?
Sure is a puzzle, all right.
After all the back and forth with the key throughout the entire episode, it would have been more satisfying for it to serve as the clincher. The actual gotcha comes from this asshole, Mr. Walpert. In a nutshell, his job is to pick up and deliver manuscripts, but recently picked up a side hustle of slipping extra copies to Greenleaf, which is how Greenleaf knows so much about the plot of 60 Miles to Saigon, even though no one's read it. In fact, only Greenleaf could have known the new ending, which is the one featured in the fake synopsis he planted at Eddie's place.
And for the life of me, I cannot figure out how Eddie Kane could have written an ending 9 months ago that was only invented last week.
A pretty good gotcha, but I still think the key clue would have been a stronger finish.
For $100,000, you don't kill off Rock Hudson.
Sandwiched between series opener Murder by the Book and fan favourite Now You See Him, Publisher Perish tends to be the overlooked middle child of the Jack Cassidy trilogy.
I resent that.
But in my opinion, it's sorely underrated. I mean, right from the opening credits, Publish never takes its foot off the pedal, veering from one plot twist to the next with little time for anything else. If any Columbo could be described as a thrill ride, it's this one. Falk and Cassidy didn't have Spielberg with them this time round, but Robert Butler, director of Double Shock, isn't too shabby a replacement.
Right.
And of course, throwing one of the show's greatest villains back into the mix pretty much guaranteed a hit. So, Publisher Perish, give it a watch. Just make sure you're ready to give it 100% of your attention, or else you could get lost real easy.
Sir, in your condition, I should call the police.
Madam, in your condition, I'd call a plastic surgeon.